open your eyes and see the people chanting, slowly falling apart. The silence causing an earthquake. I'm wishing upon a star. This time I'm feeling higher, and I know I can be taller. Shadows causing an outbreak. I'm turning the light. We're gonna light it up, oh, light it up, ooh, light it up, causing an outbreak. I'm turning the
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the long awaited FDL Central, where we celebrate our community by discussing the most recent FDL action from the previous week and look ahead to upcoming FDL action. I am your host, Debbie. Uh, Now, we're going to be kicking things off with a bang tonight. I'm joined tonight by some of the biggest heavy hitters that FDL has to offer. Starting off with one of my personal favorite persons, people, whatever. They've been around since nearly the start of FDL, a staple to the FDL community and a household name to all of us. Currently spearheading 2/3 of the Hydras into the playoffs, while he himself leads the 6-4 expert team into the playoffs. He's a friend to the show, a friend to me, and most of all, an exemplary role model to all of us in the FDL. I'm glad to have him by my side. Welcome to the show, KJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I feel like I should be offended by that heavy comment because I was literally just eating. Um, just just throwing that out there. No, dude, it's actually it's a pleasure to be back. It's a pleasure to be able to bring another episode of FDL Central. I absolutely love doing these, even though we haven't had a chance to do them too much this season. But there is a lot of action that has happened and a lot to talk about. So yeah, I am super excited to be here with you, Debbie.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, we have a lot to talk about. But before we continue, I think we might have somebody else
Yeah,
joining us here.
Debbie, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second. We have some heavy hitters, and I know I got offended by the heavy comment, but it is honestly my honor to introduce the third person on our panel. I guess you could say he's another Mount Rushmore like status, even though he may not understand the reference because somebody's got to come across the water. But speaking of, he brings fire and energy to the casting team with just that little bit of a sultry British accent. Please give a big welcome to the return of the man who started this whole thing, the one and only Rhino Boy. Rhino, how are you doing today?
I am so good, and I must say, from the first day of FDL Central, these introductions have got way more elaborate than they ever used to be. But it's a pleasure to be on the panel with both of you. So excited for what we've got to cover tonight. There's loads of stuff to get into. It's very exciting, and I appreciate the sultry. I've never had my accent referred to as sultry before, so
I
thank you
got
very
you.
much for that. Yeah, it
I
got me
got you.
absolutely.
It's delicious. I love it.
Okay,
Delicious.
sultry, delicious. We are.
Yes, sir.
There's a theme here. There's a theme. Anyway, it's as I say, it's brilliant to be back. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and can't think of two better people to get into this season of FDL and this postseason with. So, Debbie, take it over, my guy.
Oh, 100%. I can't wait to get this thing started. And first off, we're going to be kicking things off with a recap from week 10. We're going to be starting off with the Origin League week 10 matchups and results right there. So, to kick things off with Origin League, we had the Eagles taking a 1-3 loss to the Hornets. And I will say this match determined the number one seed in South League. And then after that, we had the Vipers getting a sweep over the Huskies, and the Griffins and Dragons going the distance, going all the way to game 5 with the Dragons coming out on top. After that, we had our last and final match of Origin League with the Owls and Seagulls also going the distance with the Seagulls coming out on top. And this win helped the Seagulls gain that edge over the Eagles and snag that number 2 seed in Stealth League. Now, of course. I know I kind of ran through that, but like, I just wanted to get y'all's opinions on these Origin League matchups and kind of looking a little bit forward into the playoffs and how you think these matches help to shake things up.
Rhino, you want to go first or second?
I'll take first, and then you can, yeah, you can pick up what I missed because I will
Sounds
miss
good to
stuff.
me.
So let's start with the 3-0, right? Let's start with the sweep. I mean, the Vipers taking down the Huskies. It on face value, it doesn't really look like there was much to play for here. But if the Huskies had won that game, they'd actually probably have been second in Courage Conference after the Griffins lost. So actually, that had more playoff implications than maybe we expect, and I'm surprised the Huskies weren't able to put in more of a performance in that particular game. Looking over onto the other side, I've got to talk about the Hornets as well. 7-3 on the season. They're looking really good going into the playoffs, taking that number 1 seed in stealth. So tough game for the Eagles, but they're still 6-4 on the season as well. So they've still got a lot of promise going into this postseason as well. I mean, the Origin League is wide open as far as I'm concerned. The two results there with the Griffins and Dragons, as well as the Owls and the Seagulls, are the Owls in that group are the only team out of playoffs right now. So there are some really big teams in there that could go all the way. Very, very exciting. KJ, go for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely. And Debbie, I hate to call you out like this, but you did miss that Al Seagulls matchup. Just wanted to throw that out there. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Um, but either way, the Seagulls with that win, they were able to snag that number 2 spot, right? But the biggest story here is that the Hornets 3-1ing the Eagles. That was for that number 1 seed. So had the Eagles won, they'd be the number 1 seed. But since the Hornets were able to take it, they get that first. They get that. I believe, if I'm correct, that first round bye alongside the Dragons with that number 1 seed per conference. So it's going to be really interesting to see if that extra time off has any sort of effect, because we have seen it in the past. That being said, the Vipers taking or beating the Huskies, that one kind of surprises me a little bit, because the Vipers were one of the lower teams that were on the bracket, and they were having a little bit of a rough season. So for the fact that they were able to bounce back from such a rough season and finish strong with a 3-0 sweep of a team that was already in the playoffs really speaks to the character of the Vipers.
100%. And I couldn't agree with you guys more. Definitely some very important matchups right there. I think it was also surprising that the Owls, who aren't in contention for the playoffs, were able to take the Seagulls all the way to game 5. Maybe, the Seagulls kind of just relaxing, knowing that they're already in the playoffs, and maybe just allowed that match to get a little bit further from them than they had anticipated.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you guys mentioned earlier, and I'll be going over the seeding and a little bit of the format for Origin League. As opposed to the rest of the leagues here in FDL, instead of having a best of set being played, the 3 best of 3s, and then best of 5 for the finals, Origin will simply be playing a best of 7 series, since they only have 2 starters in their lineup. And on Stealth Conference, we have the Hornets taking the number 1 seed at 7-3, Seagulls taking number 2 seed at 6-4, and Eagles taking the number 3 seed at 6-4 over in Stealth. While over in Courage, we have the Dragons taking on the number 1 seed at 8-2, Huskies taking the number 2 seed at 4-6, and I believe that is due to a head-to-head tiebreaker. And then the Griffins taking the number 3 seed at 4-6 as well. But, unless you guys have anything else to add, I'm ready to go to Adept League.
Let's do
I
it.
think I before you move on, I think Origin is going to be the
Ooh.
bracket to watch, because there is some
Yeah,
serious upset potential there.
the most unpredictable of the leagues, I would think.
Yeah.
You know, I would be inclined to agree with you, Rhino, but I think Adept League is gonna be that most unpredictable, that are extremely competitive, and with that being said, let's go into Adept League.
Let's have a look.
So, to kick things off with Adept League, we had the Vipers getting swept by the Rams. We had the Owls, unfortunately forfeiting to the Gators. We also had another forfeit coming out from the Huskies against the Griffins. The Eagles taking down the Coyotes in a sweep. And yes, yeah, that is it. Now,
Yes, you got them all this time. Yeah, absolutely.
Good job, Debbie. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
I swear I got that Owls Seagulls one.
We'll
But
watch it back. We'll watch it back later.
Hang on, we'll get VAR on it. Hang on, let's we'll find the tape.
all right, KJ, you want to kick us off? tell us a little bit about what went down in a depth league.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really surprised that the Eagles were able to take that number one spot. They have had such a phenomenal season. That team of who is it? Unseen, JB, Water Dragon, and Old Man. I mean, they have just been absolutely steamrolling a lot of these teams in the depth league, and it's been very noticeable. And teams are scared, and they have every right to be scared because the Eagles have such a mechanical play that a lot of teams are thrown off by that because it's not exactly something you see a lot of in a depth, right? Within that rank range, sure, you see some control, but the way the Eagles are able to keep offensive pressure, that does not really surprise me that they are that number one seed. The only other game that is really worth talking about is the Vipers Rams, but the Rams have had they've had an okay season. They're finishing out the season 5-5, heading into playoffs. Should be interesting to see if they're able to do anything in the playoff bracket. They're going to have, but I will say that they are going to have one heck of a tall task.
Yeah,
And,
I totally agree with you. It's a really interesting league in Adepts, and obviously we've got two forfeits in there on the final week, which you never really like to see. The only reason I'm going to talk about it is because the Owls only had one win on the season when they pulled that forfeit. So I mean they were completely out of playoff contention. They had nothing to play for. It sucks. We would love every team to play every game and kind of fight for it, but that somewhat makes sense to me. The one that doesn't make sense to me is the Huskies giving the Griffins that forfeit win. It does mean that the Griffins come up and take second seed, uh, which I don't know what the exact ins and outs are, but that might not have
One,
happened if the Rams had. Sorry, say again.
the Griffins actually take the number one seed because of that,
Of course they
not
do,
number two.
because the head to head.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Griffins now have taken the number one seed in Courage Conference rather than if the Huskies had played, there might have been a chance that wouldn't happen, which I'm very confused about. And sorry for anyone looking at the website. The website is wrong on that one. So yeah, that very very confusing that forfeit for me. But fair play to the Eagles and Rams. Bring on playoffs in this league. I think there could be some very very interesting fixtures and tasty scorelines.
100%, and not to mention that the number one seeds in a depth league, as with Origin League, they go into the playoffs with a bye, so that definitely could have been the difference between the Huskies getting a bye or now in round one having to face off against the Coyotes and then
Mhm.
having to face off against the awaiting Eagles in round two, which is definitely going to be a tall task for the Huskies. But yeah, I'll quickly go over the seating. Right here we got the Stealth Conference seating: number one Eagles, number two Gators, number three Coyotes, and then for Courage we have at number one the Griffins, at number two we have the Huskies, and number three the Rams. Now, with that being said, are you guys ready to move on to Expert League?
Yes.
Nope. But go ahead.
All right. Kicking things off with Expert League, we had the Colts taking down the Griffins 3-1. We had the Seagulls forfeiting to the Hornets. We had the Vipers taking down the Hydras 3-1. The Gators and Coyotes going the distance with the Coyotes coming out on top. The Penguins taking down the Eagles in a sweep. And finally, the Monkeys forfeiting to the Huskies. You want to break things down for us, Rhino?
Yeah, okay. We've got to start on this one, I think, with the Gators versus the Coyotes match, because that's the one that stands out to me as the one that was really exciting. I'll leave the Vipers Hydras to KJ. I'll give you that
No.
one, my friend. So This Gators Coyotes match decided the number 2 and number 3 seeds in stealth. So it was all to play for, and both teams actually played their C lineups. They played their weakest lineups in week 10, which can sometimes happen if maybe you've used your A or B lineups too much earlier in the season. But the Coyotes taking out a 5-game win just about over the Gators just shows you how close Expert League is, certainly at the top level. So I mean, I can quickly have a look. I think the Gators finished on 5-5, and the Coyotes finished on 7-3. So obviously, if that scoreline goes the other way, then we're looking at 2 6-4 scorelines, series results. So super interesting that game. Congratulations on the Coyotes for managing to get that win and getting what is referred to as the easier draw in the playoffs. But yeah, tight game, could have gone either way. Really exciting to see these positions being played for in this manner in Expert for sure. KJ, go for it.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the game that I participated in.
Okay, that's
Probably the biggest thing here is the Penguins taking a 3-0 win over the Eagles. Eagles have been they've really come into their own in the second half of the season, and for the Penguins to be able to sweep them, I mean, that's just grit, and it's not just any grit. That's Scooteroo grit.
Mm.
And it just shows that that Penguins team, they had some developmental issues there at the beginning of the season, and they really brought it back, and they were able to tie the Eagles in record, actually, which is very surprising, especially with the way that they started. But yeah, the Penguins being able to take that win, not too much of a surprise with the Monkeys though against the Huskies. They have had, for the second season in a row, a very rough season, finishing out at 1-9. And yeah, I don't want to talk about the Vipers Hydras game.
The Monkeys won the Expert League championship last season.
Not Nobody cares about last season.
He said they had back-to-back bad seasons. They didn't. They were the champs.
Nice.
Oh no, that was Adept. Adept Monkeys sucked last season.
Adept.
There you go.
I'm not the one on this panel getting things wrong. Yes. Let's go.
Now,
Big
do you think it's a little bit of a curse because last season the Adept Monkeys had
Oh,
Garnezy?
we'll get into curses
We'll
later.
get into curses. Oh yeah.
All right.
There's curse chat to come. I just on this particular one, I do want to bring up. I don't know if anyone on the panel can talk about this because it might be a little confusing for some of the viewers. Obviously, the Eagles and the Penguins finished with a 4-4 series, but the Eagles are the ones that take that last playoff spot. What were the actual breakdowns that meant that the Eagles finished above the Penguins? Because I believe in the season they went 1-1.
Yes, so it goes head to head first, which they would have been tied, they will be tied with that win with the Penguins over the Eagles there. So then it goes to game win differential, which the Eagles have a +2, while the Penguins have a -2 after that
Correct.
win, which allowed the Eagles to secure that last playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Perfect.
with that being said, I'll announce the seedings right here. The Stealth League seeding has the Hornets at number 1, Coyotes at number 2, Gators at number 3, and the Eagles taking that last spot at number 4. While on Courage side, we have the Vipers taking it at number 1, Colts at number 2, Hydras at number 3, and the Griffins at number 4. And with that being said, are we ready to move along to Star League?
No, because there's something that has to be said.
Oh.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Everybody say it with me. Kid doesn't have to play the Eagles. Kid doesn't have to play the Eagles.
This is true. This is true.
The Eagles have
And
been Kin's curse for the last 2 seasons.
yeah, and now they find themselves on the opposite sides of the bracket. So if Ken does see the Eagles, it wouldn't be until the finals if both teams manage to make it there.
Okay, I'm good to go. We're good. I just had to get that out there.
Love that.
All right. And now going into Star League, we have the Gators taking down the Lobsters 3-1. We have the Colts taking down the Hydras 3-1. Uh, the Eagles taking down the Hornets 3-1. Dragons losing to the Rams 1-3. Penguins taking down the Seagulls 3-1. Uh, and then we have a couple of forfeits right here. The Vipers forfeiting to the Monkeys, Griffins forfeiting to the Huskies, and finally the Coyotes getting the win over the Owls 3-1. Now, is there anything that stands out to either of you guys about these matches?
Go, KJ. It's your time. Or not?
Not not too much. I would probably say the biggest match out of all those was between the Coyotes and the Owls. You know, both of them ran a C lineup, and the Coyotes took that 3-1 win over the Owls, which actually took them out of playoff contention. So the Coyotes are in, the Owls are out, and that was a really big thing and a really big deal. Is that, you know, whether the Owls franchise was going to be able to continue um, going into playoffs in any league, because if and somebody's going to have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe the Owls have made a playoff appearance at least in one league over the past 4 seasons. I think. Don't
Ooh.
quote me on that though, but somebody's going to have to fact check me on that because it seems accurate. But you know, that Owls organization has done very well, and to see them eliminated from the playoffs by the Coyotes, who were under a lot of scandal earlier in the season. Just
Mm.
saying.
Well,
Just gonna throw that out there, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
spoilers ahead, but the Elite Owls are in the playoffs
Oh,
this
there you go.
season.
There you go.
So at least one Owls team will be representing the franchise in the playoffs.
Yeah, they continue that. I want to talk for a moment about a couple of games before we move on. So the first one that comes to mind is the Hornets versus the Eagles. And the reason I say that is because the Hornets played their A lineup and the Eagles played their B lineup, and yet the Eagles were still able to bring out the 3-1 win. So they top Stealth Conference with a 9-1 record on the season, and in pretty convincing fashion when running their, in theory, second best lineup. So that says to me that the Eagles are in a really, really good position going into playoffs. They're very strong across pretty much all three lineups, and definitely should be ones to watch. The other one I want to bring up for a similar reason is the Gators taking down the Lobsters, because the Gators won 3-1 again with their B lineup against the Lobsters A lineup. Now both of these teams were desperately trying to get a playoff spot. If the Lobsters won it, they might have been able to take it. If the Gators won it, we can see that they did make it into the playoffs on some technicalities, because there were actually three teams going for third, fourth, and fifth seed. So very, very tight there. Go and have a look at the league if you haven't. And I think again that says to me that the Gators again believe in all three of their lineups. They're running that B lineup in week 10 where a playoff spot is on the line. They had the faith and it paid off for them. So again, maybe some momentum for the Gators going into playoffs.
100%. Robot Man is, smiling behind the scenes over here, just happy to be in the playoffs. And I think one thing that was really interesting about that Lobsters roster was that it had the previous Expert League champions of Frank, Carnival, and Jaquiddle on it,
Mm,
and they teamed up. I know eventually one of them got moved to reserve here.
Quiddle.
Jaquiddle got moved to reserve. Them trying to seek out further success, but it didn't work out, and I just thought that was an interesting storyline to follow those players and see how they would do in Star League, and maybe they going forward they have better success.
You know, it's even a more interesting storyline.
Hmm.
There is 5 teams sitting at even, and all 5 teams made the playoffs.
That can't be true.
Yes. Seagulls, Penguins, Gators, all sitting at 5-5 in the Stealth Conference, and the Colts and the Huskies sitting at 5-5 in Courage. All 5 of those teams have made the playoffs.
No, the Penguins didn't make playoffs.
Penguins did not make
I see in the background that there is a certain particular person that is losing their mind right now. But can I just say this one time for the one time? We have Chris with a K's curse in Star League now. With 5 teams going 5-5. What is it with this league in 5-5? That seems like be like the most common record in the entire FDL right now.
The Penguins didn't make playoffs.
No.
All right, guys, I'm leaving.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Penguins, they got beat out in the
They got
head-to-head
beat out
by
in the head-to-head.
Oh, well,
by the Gators.
That's because the website wasn't updated.
Okay. See, I blamed that earlier. Here we go.
Yeah. See?
There you go.
See?
There you go. I
got you, Rhino. I got your back.
Yeah. 100%.
See, if you guys just look at the script, just scroll down right past that bracket, you guys can see the correct seating.
Hold on,
Isn't
FDL
that
Central
crazy
is
how that works?
Wow, I thought
This
this
show
was
is scripted?
completely off the.
Oh my goodness.
I thought we were flying by the seat of our pants.
Talk about breaking the fourth wall. Oh my god.
But all right, let me break down the Star League seating real quick, and then we can jump into Elite League. So
We probably
starting off with
should.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Star
Oh.
League Stealth, the Eagles taking the number 1 spot, Hornets taking number 2, Seagulls getting number 3, and the Gators taking the number 4th spot for Star League playoffs. And then on the Courage side of things, we have the Monkeys taking the number 1 spot, Rams taking the number 2 spot, Colts taking the number 3, and the Huskies getting the number 4 spot. And yeah, with that being said, let's move on into Elite League.
This
And now,
is the fun one.
This
is the one where we all get to have fun.
We've been talking a lot. This one is going to require a lot more talking.
Oh yeah, there is
Here we
a
go.
lot going on in Elite League. But go ahead, Debbie, take it away.
So we got the Hydras sweeping the Rams, the Dragons getting the victory over the Vipers in game number 5, Gators taking down the Seagulls 3-1, the Lobsters taking down the Eagles 3-1, a forfeit win being given to the Owls by the Hornets, and then finally the Monkeys and Griffins going the distance with the Monkeys coming out on top. Now who wants it? Who wants it the most?
Me.
Who's...
Me. Because I keep saying this. He can't keep getting away with it.
Keep getting away with this.
He cannot keep getting away with it. And if anybody is curious as to who I'm talking about, Mr. Chris with a K can't keep getting away with going 5-5. One time he had a winning record of 6-4. One time. The rest of the time he's been at 500. He can't keep getting away with it and getting into playoffs. But it's okay. It's okay. Rhino, it's okay.
Okay.
Here's why.
Can I say why?
You know, the universe requires correcting. Okay, and Thanos' snap doesn't always do that. But Rhino, can you do me a favor and tell me exactly what happens to correct the universe?
I will. So, as KJ has just mentioned, the universe requires balance, okay? When someone is able to get something just by the skin of their teeth, they are expected to have it ripped away from them in the harshest possible way. And that is what happens to Chris, as he, every single season, will get first rounded. He will get wiped out of the playoffs in the first round. And it's not even a prediction. It's not even a prediction. It's a fact. It's an FDL fact.
I would say it's an FDL fact, but at this point, because of based off of past seasons, it has become like me, a staple of the FDL. Is Chris makes it to the playoffs at 5-5 and is eliminated in round 1,
and we can't get rid of it. No matter how hard we try, we can't get rid of it.
As much as I would love to see the Monkeys make it past round 1, the fact that and this is the fact of the matter is that they were able to take out that Griffins team, and that Griffins team it hasn't. Uh, uh, it's been a bit rough for them, let's be honest, because at the beginning of the season they were struggling to find players to be able to play for their team, and it was a drop player here, drop player there, pick up a player, drop a player, pick. It was just back and forth so much. But the fact that they were able to still finish out 3-7, it still says that they were able to start getting their stuff together. Monkeys go into that game not well, everything to lose as well as everything to gain. Because had they lost that one, I don't know if they would have made the playoffs.
I think it's certain. Oh no, if they had lost it, then they would have ended 4-6. So there would have been a three-way tiebreaker between the Rams, Hydras, and the Monkeys.
And to fact check real quick,
Yeah, would have
Yeah.
gone to head to head and then game win differential. But
I think there would have been some maths going on there to try and
yeah.
there would
try
have
and
been
figure
a
that out.
lot of. So thanks, Chris, for being consistent, going 5-5.
Thank you,
Yep.
Chris, for
And
making you not do any more work.
and salutes to you to continue to stay consistent and get deleted from the playoffs.
Here we go. Here we go. All aboard.
That man just scoped in fully with the rifle and said, "Pow!" Wow.
Choo choo.
And to round off our week 10 recap before
Yeah,
we
we're not
get
going to
into
talk
some
anymore.
more.
We're not going to talk anymore about the Elite League. That's all we need to talk about. That's it. Done. Move on to
Oh.
seeding.
Yep. Stealth seeding for Elite League has the Gators at number 1, Lobsters at number 2, Seagulls at number 3, and the Owls at number 4. While for Courage, we have the Dragons at number 1, Vipers at number 2, Monkeys at number 3, and the Hydras sneaking in at number 4. Now, I can't wait for this next part because that's just gonna be non-stop bickering and us yelling at each other. KJ saying, "Wait, wait, wait, wait! I got something to say."
Can we have a no? I won't do this to Robot. I was going to say, can we have a KJ counter for how many times he says "wait"? Can I just say? But
Wow.
we will avoid that.
Wow. We really hate me today. All right. Okay. Chad will keep
But
up with it. It's fine.
Yeah, sure.
we're gonna be moving into our next segment, which we're gonna be covering some of the biggest storylines from season 6. So we're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about it, and we're kind of just gonna yell at each other for the entertainment of all you viewers. So our first subject or topic here for the storylines from season 6 is going to be Stealth versus Courage and who will win out this season. So do any of you guys want to take head on this topic right here?
This is a
See,
lot of information. Wow.
yeah, see, for me, this is really tough to call as a caster in the FDL who actually does not have a bias, right? Okay, I'm not affiliated to any team.
Sure.
I'm the only one on this panel who is not affiliated to any team, so I'm the
Sure.
only one who can give an objective opinion, and it's
Wait,
Courage every
wait,
day of the
wait,
week.
wait. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
That's it. It's Courage. That's all I'm saying. They will take it. They took it last season. There's no reason for them not to take it again this season.
Honestly, I would agree with you, but the thing is, right, is that because of the splits with the teams, there is no flight and birds of prey or anything that flies. Everything got mixed up this season at the start. So there is no, I mean, sure, there's a couple teams that like really stand out and pop out, but a lot, and especially with the Elite League, it is so close. There is no true, real, like a 10-0 team that we've had for the past 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Eagles did it. Hydras did it. No, the Huskies almost did it. They almost did it, and they ended up dropping a game. But even still, there hasn't been that one breakout team. So it's really hard to call. So I'm actually going to give it to Stealth
Mhm.
because I think Stealth might be able to pull this one out based off of some of the teams and some of the players that are in the playoffs. As much as I'd love to give it to, since I'm in the Courage Conference.
Yeah, yeah. As Seika points out, the Hydras last season, and I think you did mention it. Hydras last season were 10-0.
Yes,
Mm.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, I did.
but yeah, I agree with KJ's point that like going into this season, they did shake up the teams. They moved some teams into different conferences, and I think that definitely shook up things for the most part. I think prior I would have said Courage was kind of the stronger conference. And like it was kind of a trend for Courage to always like be a little bit more competitive. And even we can see the season 5 stats, the Courage winning 15 games in the playoffs as opposed to Stealth's 10. However, the Stealth conference did win 3 of the finals compared to Courage's 2. And I think I'm going to hop on that trend of Stealth winning a majority of the finals here, especially when I got 4 representatives from the Eagles now in Stealth League. I believe in my boys. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be going with Stealth on that one.
Something else I do want to point out in your guys' favor is actually the Stealth, the leaders in every league, so from Origin to Elite. Actually, 3 of those are Stealth and 2 of those are Courage based on win-loss records, right? So what I mean by that is the team with the highest win-loss record in each league is who I picked out, and 3 of those were from Stealth Conference and 2 of them were from Courage. Now, obviously, there are some where you don't have cross divisional play, so it doesn't mean as much in those instances. But still, for Stealth to have more of the winningest teams going into the playoffs than Courage, it does look good for them. But I also think that it's kind of similar to KJ's point because there's so much talent in this league, kind of across the board, that you can kind of blanket statement it with there's too much talent in this conference to not look good. But yeah, there's it's all to play for coming into the playoffs. I think it could be a really interesting kind of clash between the two conferences because at the end of the day you are fighting for your conference in playoffs, not just your team. So interesting. I look forward to seeing who takes it.
100%. And with that being said, we're gonna be moving on to our next topic, where we're gonna talk about 2 franchises that had all of their teams, all of their rosters making it into the playoffs, and that will be none other than the Gators and the Colts having all of their teams being sent into the playoffs, having full representation there. And that's with the Gators having 4 out of the 5 leagues here in FDL, and the Colts having 2 teams to their names. So the it's pretty successful and a very rare thing to have a franchise have every single team make it into the playoffs. I just wanted to get y'all's opinions and thoughts on this.
KJ, you look bothered. Talk to me, man. What's
I'm
what's
not.
bothering you?
I'm not bothered, but Robot needs a win, so here it is for him. I, I, as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow. Number one, that's impressive because Robot picked good captains for the season, but
Oh my
you
goodness.
know they all helped. They all had to help him, but he got a W finally. So
KJ, this man can bring us down with one press of a
that's
button.
fine. If I get disconnected, I am so sorry. I love all of you and have a good night. I am willing to throw myself down on the grenade.
Okay.
I am just gonna throw that out there. Oh, and the only reason why I say that is because in the past the Gators have had some teams that have had a rough time. We have seen that. Last season was a rough one for the Gators franchise. The Adept team was able to, I believe it was the Adept team that made it to the playoffs last season. Um, but
Cool.
they have had they had a rough season last season. So to be able to come back this season and to be able to make such an impact in the entire league with the way that they did for all four teams across the board is truly, it shows the grit and willpower that Robot has in picking his captains and being able to have the correct people vetted for per league. So I will give props, but I'm gonna stick with my first statement, and that's as far as I'm gonna go with that. I don't want to get disconnected or booted out of the. I don't want to get booted for toxicity.
Robot, I love you. I think you're great. I'm so happy that the Gators are doing well this season. This is fantastic for me. Really, really chuffed to see your team doing well. Please don't get
Please don't
rid of me
disconnect
as
us.
a caster. I like
Oh
my
look,
job.
I'm no longer a caster. Oh, what happened?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an absolute insane accomplishment. Like we said, not a lot of teams we see getting this feat. I know personally, I was trying to get that feat myself for my franchise, but we just missed out. Still a hard fought season and successful season for us, which brings me into our next.
One final thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to say something about the Colts. It doesn't count because they only had two teams.
Both teams worked hard, KJ.
So did all four teams for the Gators.
God's sake.
Okay, but there were other franchises that had 2 or 3 teams, and they didn't get all of their teams.
I got 2/3 of mine, so.
All right,
I'm
well,
just kidding. Jesus.
on to the next topic. We are going to be talking about the most successful franchises outside of I guess if you were looking outside of just playoffs, we're talking about just win differential right here. We have the Dragons leading the entire league with a win rate of 0.733. In second place, we had the Eagles at a 0.620. And then finally, for third place, we actually have a tie between the Gators and the Hornets at 0.575. So those were the most successful franchises in the FDL here in season 6. Now, Rhino, what are your thoughts on these stats and these franchises right here?
I know Laggy's in chat, so he's going to be absolutely thrilled with this news. Dragons being the winningest franchise is pretty good. I mean 0.73. How many leagues is that across? Do we know?
Uh,
Four, I believe.
2, 3. I count.
Might be 3. I don't know.
That will
I've been wrong multiple
be
times on
I
this
count.
thing.
I count 3.
Dragons is 3.
3.
3.
So and an average of 73% wins across 3 leagues is damn impressive from a whole franchise. So that's across what, 30 games. Yeah, pretty impressive stuff. Eagles and Gators and Hornets, very impressive as well. But yeah, very nice for Laggy and his boys for sure. KJ, you had a bit of a moment while we were going through some of those statistics. So talk to me about that moment. What got you?
I just had the realization as to who the GM of the Dragons was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's the second season in a row that Maki has had the highest franchise win rate.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you something, is that Maki knows how to pick a team.
Mm-hmm.
Maki knows how to pick his captains. I would argue, okay, and if you guys want to fight me on this, by all means, go for it. I would argue that Maki is probably one of the greatest GMs over the past 4 seasons in FDL,
Wow.
based off of what he has done in the last 2.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I would say that's a pretty good statement right there. I mean, if I'm going to break down the numbers even further, the Dragons overall as a franchise went 22-8. They only had 8 losses.
Cool. Wow.
there's some teams here in our league that had 8 losses in their single season, while this franchise had 8 losses in total.
That's
That
just
Man,
that's
unfair, though.
crazy.
man, Debbie, you just really called out all those teams.
Hey, I didn't say
Yeah,
any.
you did,
I
yeah.
didn't, I didn't specify any names.
No, but you
I
might
didn't
as well have
No.
just said at the end of that, you know who you are.
Hey, sometimes bad seasons happen. It's a thing, you know? But I just think that's crazy to think about. And if you guys would
Mhm.
like me to break down, the Eagles went 31-19, and then the Hornets went 23-17, as well as the Gators. So those were the top 3-ish, 4-ish teams right there, franchises.
I can think of one person that's super proud of himself right now. But I digress.
I guess we'll segue into our next topic right there.
Hang on, hold everything. Am I going crazy? Why did the Dragons in Star not get playoffs?
That's a topic to
hold
be
on,
discussed later.
hold on,
We're
Rhino.
gonna cover that. We're gonna cover that. Okay,
We're
that makes
gonna
sense.
cover that.
We'll cover that.
That's a banger of a story for you.
Okay, we'll go through that. Sorry, I was just looking at the website and I was like, surely the winningest franchise must have all their teams in playoffs. I guess I'll find out why that is in a bit.
Yes, sir, you will. And
Okay.
with that being said, our next topic is the fact that our league has been so competitive, and I think this is a statement to how competitive and how well franchises and teams are able to bounce back, or maybe in this case, not bounce back. As this season, there are no returning franchise champions. And by that, I mean the franchise that previously won in season 5 is not in the playoffs this season. So for season 5, that would be the Origin League Vipers, currently eliminated from Origin League playoffs. In season 5, it was the Owls who are also eliminated. Season 5, for Expert League, it was the Monkeys who are also eliminated. Season 5, Star League was the Dragons who are eliminated. And for season 5 in Elite, it was the Huskies who don't have a roster to represent them in Elite League. Now, what are y'all's thoughts on this?
Teams may not have made it, but a lot of the players that were on those teams did.
Hmm.
Devil Jacob being the first name that really sticks out to me. He was on the Origin Vipers last season, uh, got himself a championship, and now he's an expert this season. So he skipped over an entire league, and now he's an expert, and he's back in the playoffs, sitting at a number one seed. So it's hey, you give credit where credit's due. Sometimes it's not about the team; it's about the players.
Hmm.
I mean, Laggy Puppy as well, I believe, on that season 5 Star Dragons roster has done it again, but this time in Elite League. So he is a returning champion, but that franchise in Star League does not have representatives for the playoffs.
Yeah, I am not going to say anything on this particular matter because I worry that I'm going to bring up something that is going to jump the gun. So let's just move on to the next, whatever the next segment is.
So the next topic that I wanted to bring up, and it was something that I felt like really shaked up the playoff race heading into the playoffs here for season number 6, and that was the new tiebreaker of head-to-head being over game win differential. And if you guys can see here, I list off some of the teams that benefited from that head-to-head tiebreaker being ahead of the game win differential, and teams that would have benefited from game win differential instead of head to head. Now,
Wow.
to break things down here, we had the Origin Huskies who secured the number 2 seed through head to head. Adept Griffins securing number 1 seed through head to head. Star League Seagulls getting the number 3 seed. Star League Gators securing the last spot in Stealth Conference. Star League Colts getting the number 3 seed, and Elite Gators getting the number 1 seed. Now,
Yeah, I mean, nothing really there. Big ups to and I'm gonna get crap for it, I know, but big ups to the Gators for being able to play their absolute hearts out and play their absolute minds out to be able to secure that last playoff spot and having that head to head advantage. It really shows how much of a difference it can make. It can either make or break your season.
Yeah,
Alright.
absolutely. I'm sorry. Yeah, just going to jump off the back of that. It's one of those things that you don't really think about when you're playing week to week, and then it kind of gets to the end of the season, and you're like, oh, if we'd only just converted that game 5 and hadn't lost it 3-2, or if we'd only just put our A line up in this week, we wouldn't be in this position, kind of thing. So it's something that a lot of successful teams need to be thinking about in their seasons. But yeah, it's tough to plan for sure. You never really know how leagues are going to shake out, but it just goes to show that every single game is worth trying to win as much as you possibly can in this league.
100%. It definitely puts more significance on each and every match that you have to win that, because if it does come down to head to head, you want that advantage.
Mhm.
But with that being said, let's move on into the meat and potatoes of these storyline topics. We're going to start breaking down some of the more specific topics of each league, and we're going to start off with Elite League. This was something that we covered a little bit earlier, but we're talking about the Elite League Monkeys 5-5 record.
Yeah.
Oh, I tire of these games.
I don't.
Some also interesting statistics along with that is that Chris with a K is the only starter, I believe, and I'm sorry if I am mistaken on this, but Chris with a K is the only starter since season 1 to make every playoffs every single season. And is there any? Does anybody have any further statistics about Chris with a K here?
I'm fact checking.
I have no statistics on Chris with a K, other than he is also the only starter since season 1 to get first rounded every single season. So, there's you, you got to include that.
Oh.
So,
Oh, it's
swings
too
and roundabouts for
funny. I'm
Chris.
sorry.
Swings and roundabouts for Chris. Absolutely.
It's just, I know it sounds horrible, but
It doesn't.
it's
It.
been something that we've been giving him a raft of crap about for the past, I don't know, 3, 4 seasons, and
Hmm.
to again somehow, some way, be lucky enough to make it to the playoffs again. Okay.
Here we go.
I'll be honest with you, okay? A small part of me, like that much, wants me to see him make it past round 1.
Yeah.
But this much wants the other one. So
Yeah.
that we can make sure the consistency is key.
I
And
mean,
the
yeah.
universe gets balanced,
There is a genuine concern about what happens
Because it's due to the mental.
if Chris with a K gets past the first round. Like, not just what happens in FDL, but what happens in the world. What takes place? Because we don't know. It's not a situation that has ever occurred. So what is it?
For us
There's-
boomers, it's Y2K all over again.
I mean, yeah, right? Goodness knows. We will. Yeah.
We should
Yeah,
probably move on.
we should definitely move on. We have no time, but
Yeah.
I think we've given Chris enough ribbing for the day.
yeah, I agree.
Now, we are going to be moving things on, and now we're going to be talking about another specific player in Elite League. We're going to be talking about how Laggy Puppy has left his mark on Elite League, having just ranked up out from Star League. I know I commented on it before, and this season he started off on the Monkeys, going 5-5, and then moving on to the Dragons, who finished 8-2, and yet both teams still make it into the playoffs. I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts on Laggy Puppy and his kind of road to success here, moving from Star League into Elite League.
Yeah, great player. Chuffed he's in Elite League, and really, really happy that he's absolutely smashing it. So good stuff from Laggy for me.
Yeah, I have nothing but absolute respect for Laggy, and the fact that he went from star to elite and was able to make as big of an impact in elite league as he did in star league, despite being on two different teams, starting with the Monkeys and then going to the Dragons. The amount of impact that he's had, both on a lot of our community as well as on the actual pitch. You can really tell that Laggy really enjoys the league and enjoys improving and able to uh, make use and time with the community.
Yeah, and with that being said, are you guys ready to dive into the Star League storylines?
Yes,
Let's do it.
because this is an easy one. It's as simple as a story long ago where me and Debbie stopped talking for 3 weeks.
Yeesh.
Stop talking for 3 weeks.
It's a joke.
Okay. All right. Well,
Funny,
I
funny,
didn't get it,
KJ. Yeah, good. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a
but
joke towards the because of the thing.
I
Even
Go
was
I
ahead,
still
Debbie.
lost
to
there.
be, and I
But
don't even know what happened.
Go ahead, Debbie.
all right. Well, with we're gonna be kicking off the Star League storylines with the Dragons being eliminated from playoff contention. Now, I know, Reno, you don't have a lot of information about that.
No, I don't know what happened. Get me up to speed,
Uh,
boys.
So, from my understanding, there were some concerns with their scheduling and communication efforts. So, because of those reasons, they were eliminated from playoff contention despite their record, and that allowed and shook up a couple of things in the Courage Conference there, and allowed some other teams to get the opportunity to play in playoffs. Had the Dragons not been eliminated.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
it's
got
one of those
nothing.
things. Yeah, I think it's one of those. I'll talk on it for a brief moment. I think it's one of those things as a league you never want to do that kind of thing. Um, but it just seems like this in this particular instance it had to take place, and that is a shame because we like to see the teams that deserved it go through to playoffs. But at the end of the day, if the league deems it unfit, then that's just the situation. And as you say, it does mean that who was it that got in based on that? Then it was the Huskies.
Yes, the Huskies were able to get into the playoffs.
So that's an opportunity for the Huskies, right, to go forward. I mean, they're taking on the Eagles round one, tough draw, but that's a chance for them to go and make their mark on the playoffs that maybe they wouldn't have had before. So good luck to them. I hope they do well.
KJ, any thoughts?
No, I mean, it's unfortunate that it happened, but this is why we continuously preach: schedule your games, make sure you're available for communication, do something, do a flip, something.
To a
Schedule
flip.
your games for God's sakes. We want to be able to show them on stream.
Hmm.
And I think we're ready to move on to our next topic, which, speaking
Yes.
of, Rhino did mention some Eagles, and right here, we're going to be talking about Season 1 FDL veterans Alpha Doggy and T Nori teaming up yet again on the Eagles roster and achieving their best record yet here at 9-1 in the third season together. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Go for it, KJ.
Somebody check me on this, but was it season 2 that Alpha and T Nori were teamed up in Expert League?
Hold up.
I I think that's correct, because if it is, this is where it gets really staggering. Yes, yes, it
Yeah,
is.
Alpha Doggy,
Okay.
Tinori, and Dossie. Yeah.
Yeah, Dossie was on that team as well. This
Mhm.
is the exact opposite record as what they had that season.
Yes, true.
They were
Mhm.
1-9,
1-9.
and now they're 9-1. Have Alpha and T Nori figured out a recipe to success with Flushi? And
Yes, let's move on.
yeah.
Hey, sometimes it's
There's
just that
still,
simple.
but there's still the playoffs though, right? And pressure
Mhm.
gets to you, and sometimes you falter a little bit. Can they continue into the playoffs? And that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely it will. I look forward to seeing whether it's going to happen. They've had a great regular season. I'm super excited to see how they get on in postseason.
Them's my boys. Besides my regular boys, but
Besides the other boys that you have.
yeah.
Yeah,
The team that I'm a GM for.
yeah, that one.
Now, are we ready to move into Expert League?
Let's do it.
All right. Kicking things off with Expert League, we have Ken making his third playoff appearance in a row. It'll be his fifth playoff appearance in total across all 6 seasons of FDL. And as we mentioned previously, he's been eliminated by the Eagles, from the playoffs in the past 2 seasons. This time, he might be lucking out here with the Eagles being on the other side of the bracket.
You could blame us for season 4. That's
Yeah,
all I'll say about that.
it's good for
Ken
Ken.
showing consistency. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
It's
happy that Kin will be able to get the monkey on off his back in reference to the Eagles. I mean, if they play each other in the final, that's gonna be uh, a huge game, and will definitely be interesting to watch. I don't know what the chances of that happening are, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one for sure.
All right. And then moving on, our next topic will be uh Sticks broke. Rico up? Question mark? The dynamic duo of Rico and Sticks finally breaking up going into this season, and us trying to catch up and see where they're sitting at now. Um as a duo, they made 2 grand finals appearances back in season 3 and season 4. They did win season 3 Origin League together. In season 5, they missed out on playoffs by a single series. Now, their current status is Rico is a reserve for the Expert Vipers, who are 7-3. They're the confirmed #1 seed of Stealth League for Expert League. And Rico actually subbed in for that Week 10 matchup to clinch the #1 seed for the Vipers.
Thanks for the reminder.
While
Appreciate you.
Sticks, on the other hand, joined the family of the Penguins, who are currently 4-6 alongside Scooteroo as a starter. They were snubbed of a playoff appearance by losing out to the Eagles in the game win differential tiebreaker. Now, what the question for Sticks is, what lies ahead for him, and what would be, maybe his next move going forward in the FDL.
Be interesting to see.
Mm. Yeah,
And I think the biggest thing is going to be if Rico and Sticks decide to team up again after the season, but with Rico staying as a reserve. If that's the case, then we could see another Rico and Sticks duo.
mhm.
It could also be that it's not on the Vipers.
Ooh, yeah, could be on a completely different team entirely, which would be interesting. Just
They could be
yeah,
Gators.
I'd be very, very interested to see if Rico and Sticks do decide to team up again, try and relive the former glory. So yeah, I mean they've been a team for pretty much as long as I've been in the league, which is crazy to think about, right the way from season 3. So for them to have broken up this season. I'd like to see them back personally.
Yeah, I think that'd definitely be cool and interesting to see what happens if they do decide to team back up, and especially with how salary caps have moved around and stuff. Maybe they do end up joining forces again, and we'll see how that goes. But moving on to our next topic, wanted to talk about Unsung Hero featuring Jenna, otherwise known as Amazon, as this is a bit of a comeback for Amazon, having taken a break from FDL. So
Mhm.
Jenna, of course, formerly known as Amazon, returns to the FDL to reunite with Unsung. And this will also be Jenna's third playoff appearance. Jenna having made playoffs in every single season that they have played, being season 3, season 4, and now season 6. Now, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Great to see him back. Playing along with Ansung is fantastic as well. Yeah, there definitely could be a very, very interesting playoff potential here. So let's see how they get on. KJ.
You're not gonna get a word out of me because that's who we play in the first round.
Okay, so they've got a guaranteed win in the first round, so that's cool. They're going to move on to semi-finals, which is nice. So maybe they'll go all the way this time. Who knows?
All right. Well then, are we ready to move on to Adept League?
Love you, KJ. Let's do it. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm
All
ready
right.
to move into a Def League.
All right, starting off with Adept League rookie numbers. The Coyotes, being 6-4, have the only undefeated rookie duo in Adept League with Tron Rex and Earned, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Yes. Yes.
Tron Rex with a 4-0 record and Earned with a 3-0 record heading into the playoffs. I think that's definitely speaking very strongly to their chemistry together and the momentum for the Coyotes going into that Adept League playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to see new players come in and smash it out in FDL. Absolutely love to see it from Tron Rex and Ern. So let's see what they can do in playoffs.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what they're able to bring to the playoff, what they're able to bring to the playoff picture, let alone the playoff table. Because I
Mm,
mean, these guys came in, a couple weeks into the season and have just absolutely popped off. It's not easy to go undefeated, especially whenever it comes to series, because
mhm.
you get nerves sometimes get to you, but to see them be able to come out on top, very impressive.
All right, 100%. Uh,
Mhm.
are we ready to move into Origin League?
Can we
Or-
talk? Can we just talk like 2 seconds? Because I have to mention this because it's the most beautiful play on words I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Whenever there's all eyes on the unseen, because there really has been, and a
Very
lot
good.
of people have been watching him as he's been playing for the Eagles. Helping lead that team to 8-2 into the playoffs. So, that and plus, they're on a 5-game win streak. So it really speaks to the testament of how good Unseen actually is, and that he is a force to be reckoned with.
Force to be reckoned with, indeed. Currently leading the Adept League in goals as well.
Mm. Great player. Interesting to see what he'll do in playoffs.
And with that being said, we ready for Origin League?
Let's do it.
All right, and
Make it quick.
absolutely the biggest storyline from Origin League is the infamous Origin League purge of 2022, season 6 right here. 3 teams in total suffering the rank up of their star players during league play. That being the Eagles losing 2 players with Twins Devil and Javi, the Huskies losing 2K Rainey, and Dragons losing Rivers. Now, at the time of saying this, all 3 teams no longer have the original rosters that they started off the season with, but all 3 teams have made it into the playoffs. So just wanted to get
wait, really?
what?
Wait, Wait. So none of the 3 teams that are there are the same as what they started out at the beginning of the season, but yet they all made the playoffs.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, no further comments, Your Honor. By the way, for those that are keeping track, that's 3 weights.
No. Rhino, any thoughts?
Just crazy. Losing your star player is something that every team fears, and so for it to happen in this manner is really rough. And the fact that they're all 3 of those teams are in playoffs, kudos to them and their captains, because that's some serious work being done by them.
100%. And next we have our championship predictions, where we're all just going to go through and say who we think are winning each league. Now, we are pretty close on time right here. So we're all just going to take our turns. We're going to say which league and who we have as the winner. Does that sound good with everybody?
Yep, works for me.
Perfect.
All right.
Everyone can moan about it in Twitch chat. Let's go.
All right, so I'm gonna kick things off here. For Origin, of course, I've got to back up my boys. I got the Eagles. For Depth League, I have the Eagles. For Expert League, I have the Eagles. For Star League, I have the
Oh my
Eagles.
goodness.
For Elite League, I have the Lobster.
Wow, it's almost as
Okay.
if he's the GM of the Eagles.
I would
It's
like
okay.
to. I'd like to
Really ruined
apologize
it.
to Robot, by the way, for Debbie going through that.
Sorry, there, Robot.
All right, so hey, Rhino, who
Yeah.
do you have as a pick for Origin League?
Origin League, I've got the Huskies, KJ. Who do
All
you
right,
have?
and I've got the Dragons. Moving on to a Depth League,
Excellent
since
stuff.
Debbie decided to go all out and wild for a Depth League. I
My
have the
goodness.
Coyotes winning it all. Rhino,
Do
who do
you?
you have?
I have the Eagles. No, I don't. I have the Griffins. I have the Griffins winning it in Adept. Obviously, Debbie got in my head there, but no, for me, it's the Griffins in Adept. Let's move on to the Expert League. Of course, Debbie is going for his beloved Eagles again. In Expert, I'm actually going to be taking the Colts. I think the Colts are going to take it all this season. KJ, who do you have?
Hydra's red, baby. Let's go. Hydra's all the freaking way.
Yawn.
So,
Yo.
moving on from Expert to Star, Rhino, who do you have?
KJ, I have the Hornets in Star League. Who do you have?
Hey, that's a really good pick, but I'm going to
Thank
say the
you.
Huskies with that
Okay.
team of Patty P and Super Twinkie.
Close. Yeah, good.
and finally, I guess last but not least, Rhino, who do you have for Elite League?
I'm going to go with the Dragons for Elite League. I think Laggy's done some incredible work with them this season. KJ.
And since Debbie decided to break it all down, I might as well break down a pick as well. I didn't pick the Hydras. Shocker.
Oh my
I picked the
god.
Seagulls for the memes. Okay.
Okay, that's all of our predictions. Debbie, let's go on to the last kind of final thing.
Yes, we will be talking a little bit about the All Stars, kind of breaking it down and talking about the upcoming matches this weekend. So, of course, season 6 All Stars, the schedule will be today at 7 p.m. right
10
here
minutes.
in 10 minutes, pretty
10
much.
minutes.
We will have the Elite League All Stars. Tomorrow, we will be having in the Star League and Expert League All Stars. Star League at 6 p.m., Expert League at 7 p.m., and then on Sunday, Adept League at 6 p.m. and Origin League at 7 p.m. Now, I believe Star League is the only one that's the only outlier here where they're gonna have a best of 7 with the conferences alternating game mode choice. Stealth will be starting things off with the first pick of the game mode in game number 1, and if the series goes to game number 7, it will be a 4v4 with possibility of mutators.
So exciting.
Now,
Please.
for Origin,
Please go to
Adept,
game
and Elite.
7.
For Origin, Adept, and Elite, it will be a crew battle style where game number 1 will be 3v3, game number 2 will be 2v2, game number 3 will be 1v1, and then games 4 and 5 will be a game mode that will be decided by the losing team of the previous game. So if you lost game number 3, you get to decide game number 4. If you lost game 4, you get to decide game number 5. But in the event of a repeating game mode from games 2 to 3, meaning 2v2 or 1v1, then the same duo and or player cannot be used again for that game mode.
Mhm.
All right.
Hey
We
Debbie,
got the rules
Well
settled.
done. Smashed
Debbie,
it.
I have a favor to ask.
What you
Oh,
got?
no.
Can I announce the who the players are for this next match real quick?
Oh,
Let's you
are
know
you
what?
gonna
Let's
are you gonna give
talk
up that
about
power?
Are you
talk
gonna let me do
about
things?
let's talk about Elite League since Elite League is taking place in about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what KJ wants to do. Here we go.
Exactly.
Yes, let's do that then. By all means.
Let's go. All right. So we've got the Stealth Conference taking on the Courage Conference, and I'm going to be asking you guys to pick which conference you think is going to win. Right.
Okay.
So for Stealth, we've got the team of Seika, Moifin, Feed, and Comus taking on the Courage Conference of Laggy Puppy. I don't know how to say the name. I
It's
believe
Sniz,
it's
isn't it?
Sniz.
I think it's Sniz.
Okay. Chris
Yeah.
with a K and the one and only Shade. Guys, big action packed time here for the Elite Leagues All Stars. Debbie, who do you have winning this one?
Courage.
Rhino, how about you?
As much as I dislike agreeing with Debbie, I'm going to on this occasion. I think the Courage Conference have it, but it's gonna be an exciting game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Courage as well. Only
Okay.
because I can't, it's hard to go against that team up with Leggy Puppy, Shade, and
A
Chris.
crazy lineup.
I haven't seen Sniz play, but I know how those three play, and they have played together, and it's a very interesting and fun time. So
Pretty
Debbie,
much.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you take it away.
Hmm.
Oh, 100%. And of course, thank you guys for all tuning into tonight's episode of FDL Central. I'm going to be proceeding with my closing words right here. Hopefully we covered everything that you guys were looking forward to. I know it was a long awaited episode and there were some things behind the scenes that, kind of delayed this from happening, but we got it out and we're doing this here for you guys for the community. So of course, special thanks to KJ and Rhino Boy for coming out and being on the show. Of course, special thanks to Robot for being the one behind the scenes, getting all the production done, and getting this wonderful, new, amazing overlay for you guys to enjoy, along with the matches being there highlighted and scrolling alongside the bottom of the screen there for you guys to know. And of course, thank you to everyone, the viewers, for tuning in tonight into tonight's episode of FDL Central. Of course, your source for all things FDL. And of course, keep an eye out for the next FDL stream, which will be kicking off here in a short amount of time, about 6 minutes here, to cheer
5 minutes.
on your favorite teams and players. Which, of course, speaking of which, we've been talking about it all for like the past like 10 minutes right here. We have some upcoming FDL All Star action, starting with the Elite League. We'll have a phenomenal conference battle, crew battle right there, starting pretty closely here at 7 p.m. So make sure you tune in. And thank you for tuning in tonight to FDL Central.